everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Hope you're doing well. Latest transfer update involving Jadon Sancho, and there has been some development since we were last live that Manchester United have had a bid rejected for Jadon Sancho. We've got actually quite a lot to go through this afternoon ahead of the 8 o'clock show, which we will of course be live for as well with our season review with Adam and Saeed and Ricky. But look, this came up around lunchtime that Manchester United have had a £90 million bid rejected for Jadon Sancho. Now, I've tried to read the article, but it's through Bild, which is a German outlet with what appears to have a subscription attached to it. So, but it is being quoted by quite a few people that Manchester United have bid £90 million for Jadon Sancho, and it's been rejected because Borussia Dortmund are holding out for £110 million. Jan Arge Fjortoft has also quoted this on Twitter as well, who was talking about this morning. He was talking about a training deadline of Thursday that could potentially be relevant for Manchester United. What I would say is this, that whoa. Sorry everybody, I've got no idea why our sound settings has decided to do that. Very low audio. I don't know. I mean, welcome to live content, everybody, where it will screw you over at every opportunity. Yeah, it's sorted now. Right, so let me repeat myself. Thank you to my laptop for screwing up my audio. Don't know why you've decided to do that on such important news, but this is about, well, numerous bits of transfer news, but Manchester United having an £90 million bid rejected by Borussia Dortmund is the story we're going to start off with. This came from Bild. Jan Arge Fjortoft, as I just said, had tweeted it out as well. He also says that he expects the deal for Manchester United and Jadon Sancho to basically go through, which I suspect that it will do as well. But what I would say is that I don't believe this story. I don't believe this story at all, because Manchester United would not bid £90 million for Jadon Sancho on day one. This is day one of the transfer window, and a story comes out that Manchester United have had a bid rejected for £90 million. This makes no sense. Manchester United don't want to pay £90 million for Jadon Sancho, and they wouldn't go in with that. They're not going to pay any more than that, so they wouldn't go in with their highest offer straight away. So it doesn't make any sense, and I think we can basically say that it's not true. But did you see Paul Pogba's tweet basically... Sorry, let me read this. Did you see Paul Pogba's tweet basically confirming he's here next season, says Lewis Prendy. Well, that's not news. The news is whether we can get Pogba to sign a new contract. When do you think is a realistic time that Sancho will sign, says Jerome T. Green? Well, I think that the most relevant point is the 10th of August, which is when Dortmund are back in training proper, which is obviously not for about another 2 weeks, is it? So that's what I think will be the case. But let me just say this. I don't believe Manchester United have had a transfer bid rejected. James Ducker in The Telegraph is saying not only have they not had a bid rejected, they've also not even opened up official talks with Dortmund yet. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because of what I told you this morning. I don't agree that Manchester United have not started open talks with Dortmund yet. I think they have. I think they'd already opened up talks before today. I think those talks may have been very much emails or something like that, but I definitely think those talks are going to start kicking off this week, and I think they've started today. But I certainly don't think an offer has gone in. It makes no sense. Manchester United don't want to pay more than 80 million. They don't want to pay any. They certainly don't want to go above what. They certainly don't want to go above what they paid for Paul Pogba, which was 89 million. So, look, I think there's a willingness from Dortmund to sell. I think there's a willingness from Manchester United to buy. There's definitely a willingness from Jadon Sancho to come to United. All those doubts about whether he'd come to a club that's not in the Champions League are now irrelevant. Bada bing, bada boom. But there's no way that we've put in a bid of £90 million. And actually, I think if we had bid £90 million, Dortmund would accept it. So that's what that baffled me about that is I don't think we've put an offer of £90 million in, and I don't think Dortmund... I think Dortmund would accept that. But I think United, if they were to put an opening offer in, you're probably looking at a fee of around 75 million as an opening offer. Would Grealish be okay as a rotational player, says Brandon Rasmussen? And I know people will say rubbish, but the guy I get my transfers from told me about Arteta saying we've had talks with Villa and we want Grealish, says Sean Turner. And do you think we could do player plus cash deal for Sancho, say Mata or Pereira to lower the cost, says the legend killer? I don't think Dortmund are that stupid. Let's move on. I don't think Dortmund are that stupid. I don't. But on Jack Grealish, just very quickly, I wasn't going to talk about Grealish actually, but on Grealish, 65 million is being mentioned now. This is a player who's going to sit on our bench. Like, I don't get why Manchester United would want to spend that much money for a bench player. He doesn't start for Manchester United, does he? Where does Jack Grealish start for Manchester United? He's not a holding midfielder. He's not better than Bruno. He's not better than Pogba. He's not a winger, so he's not better than Rashford or Sancho or Greenwood or Martial. So you're going to spend 65 million on Jack Grealish. Sabo says they said euros, not pounds. It says Sabo 1197. I don't think they did, Sabo. I don't think they did. Let me just double check this for you. Manchester United have had an offer. No, I was right. You're gonna have to apologise now, Sabo. I don't get things wrong. Man United have had an opening offer of 98 million euros rejected for Jadon Sancho. 98 million euros is 90 million pounds. Thank you very much. Don't question me again unless you're right, Sabo. And thanks for the contribution from Kalen. Jerome T. Green, what's one player you would take at a United who's been relegated? Josh Sutton says, I think anywhere between 80 and 100 million with a variation of add-ons would be reasonable. Welcome to Adam England, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And Sebastian Bodry says, maybe it's a total of 90 million euros fee and add-ons Dortmund are holding for 120 million euros. It's not euros! It's not euros! Stop saying 90 million euros. That's not the story. It's not 90 million euros. It's 98 million euros. Read the paper. Read the source. It's 90 million pounds, not 90 million euros, because it's 98 million euros, which is 90 million pounds. Anyway, the point is we've not put the offer in. That's the whole point. Realistically, that is the point, is we haven't put the offer in, have we? Also on Dortmund willing to do the deal, says Manchester Evening News, which is rather interesting as well. And the Mirror are saying, well, look, the Mirror. But the Mirror are saying, may as well ask the Mirror on the wall. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's happening with Jadon Sancho? Well, you're talking to yourself, Mark. Whatever you want. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what the Mirror are saying. They're saying that Manchester United don't want to go above £80 million, which I think 80 million might be a bit low. What did I say in lockdown? 85 million. I don't think we'll go above 85 million. Imagine if I get that right as well. I'm moving on from that now. I said in lockdown we'd get third. Now I'm saying 85 million. United won't go above that for Sancho. So let's see if that proves to be right as well. But I certainly don't think we've had a bid rejected by Dortmund, because I don't think we've put the bid in yet. And as we know, United, the longest foreplay in the history of the world. If Manchester United made a porn movie, it would be probably 4-6 weeks long, because that's how long we take to do deals. There's a lot of foreplay. So there you go. I like Sancho, but he's not worth 90 million at all. We shouldn't pay over 75 million for Sancho. And with Grealish, City have big price players on the bench depth, says Sean Turner. Who do you think will win the FA Cup final, says Noah. Couldn't actually give a toss, really. But just going back to what Sean Turner said, I don't think that we should say it's acceptable to have a £65 million player on the bench when we need first team players. We need a centre-back. So why would we put a £65 million player on the bench when we haven't built the first team yet? That's surely a more relevant point. And as for it wasn't that. It was it was Sean Turner. Could a Spanish club come in for him, says Owen. Who's him? And Azamat says, what if we did put the offer and they rejected it? How high would you want us to go? Well, I think we're going to have to make that deal work no matter what. But just going back to what Sean Turner said about that Sancho is not worth £90 million. We paid £80 million for Harry Maguire last year. So, I think Jadon Sancho is worth 85 million. Mark, my best friend, says anything over 85 million is too much for Sancho and we should walk away from that deal, the Pratt. He argues that we could get 4 signings for that amount of money. What is your ceiling, says Harshen. I think United have... I think this is about negotiation. There is no walk away. You make this deal happen. There is a deal there to be done. Dortmund want to do a deal. Sancho wants to do a deal. United have got to make a deal happen. They can't walk away from Jadon Sancho. If they walk away from Jadon Sancho, they're basically telling the whole Manchester United fan base, we're not ambitious. So there is no alternative to Jadon Sancho as far as I'm concerned. Let me also tell you about Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard, Manchester Evening News are saying that if a good offer comes in for Jesse Lingard, they will not stand in his way. And that, to me, I said this last night, this is the time for Jesse Lingard to get his move. His stock is probably never going to be this high. He scored a goal. He hasn't done that since December 2018, apparently. So he scored a goal in the Premier League. And he's got Mino Raiola as his agent. Now is the time for Jesse Lingard to go and get the move and rebuild his career. So I really hope that Jesse Lingard takes note of that and Raiola can find him a club for a decent price. I wonder what Manchester United value Jesse Lingard at. I wonder what you value Jesse Lingard at. For me, I'd take 20 million. I just hope United don't think he's worth 50. He's not. If we get 30 for him, wow. But I'd take 20. I think that Jesse Lingard is, let's be real here. I know he played in a World Cup semi-final not that long ago, but he barely gets on our squad, in our bench. Would he get in the bench for any top 6 club? Probably get on the bench for, he would for Leicester. Maybe for Spurs. Sometimes for us. I don't think he gets on for Chelsea, certainly not Liverpool or Man City. So 20 million, I think, for Jesse Lingard, and wish him all the best, I hope. I would try to construct a deal of 80 million plus Delot, total valuation of 100 million. Great deal for Delot as he will build a career, says Sebastian Bodry. I think Delot and Dortmund makes a lot of sense. Mark, it's always Raiola and Pogba's entourage saying stuff, irritating. But for the Pogba himself has said something about his future, says Kalyan. And Marcy says, Mark, what's the news about the Brazilian centre-back at Lille called Gabriel Malhus? Heard we were linked with him. I haven't heard anything about that, Marky. I will have a look for the 8 o'clock show for you. I must just say, a lot of people are saying 20 to 25 million pounds for Lingard. Paul Robinson, the moderator, says packet of quavers. 10 to 15 million, says Ian. And 25 million, says Mubarak. A lot of people sort of between 15 and 25 million. So I was about right with 20. I'm surprised nobody's valued him at 30. But yeah, I mean, look, 20 million is about 3vet says 20 million with an added 5 because he's English. So yeah, I mean, it is interesting on that one. Grealish is an important player to sign. We need a backup for Bruno so we don't run him into the ground next season, says Jerome T. Green. I'm not saying that I would welcome Grealish at Manchester United, but what I'm saying is I'm not so sure that buying Grealish for 65 million is worth it when you could get a Van der Beek for 40, couldn't you? So we'll see. But look, all I'd say is if you desperately want Grealish, then you're probably in the same camp as Ollie. I mean, you're all sat round a campfire, aren't you, with all your tents there, and they've all got Grealish's face on. The tents, not the fire. And there's no doubt that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to sign Jack Grealish. I think a lot of it was about Pogba going, but Pogba staying. On Pogba, don't be surprised if there's a new contract signed by Paul Pogba in the next 2 weeks. That's all I'm going to say. Mark, what about sending Greenwood plus 40 million for Sancho, says Trent. Are you mad? And never in a million years. Never in a million years are we going to do that. Let me just talk about Van der Beek for a moment, just to bring you up to speed with Van der Beek, just in case you are somebody that wants us to sign Van der Beek. And there was a comment by Ten Hag, the Ajax manager, about a month ago, where he confirmed that there is a deal in place for Van der Beek to leave in the transfer window when it opens in August. So Van der Beek leaving Ajax is agreed by Ajax. Now that doesn't mean, what I mean by that is, and I probably could have put it better, that they haven't agreed a deal with the club, but they've agreed with the player that he can go. And he also said in the same interview that we appreciate there's a depreciation in the value of the market and for players, but it's not a massive one. So £40 million, and I think Van der Beek is whoever wants to buy him. Now, how good is Van der Beek? We've seen players go to Everton before from Holland, and we've seen him go to Southampton. Van Classy, was it Klassin? Or I don't know. I'm mixing the names up. But basically, Van der Beek is a player that Real Madrid were looking at. So this is a higher level of player. And Manchester United could sign Van der Beek for 40 million quid, and Ajax are willing to let him go. This is not like what Villa are saying. We don't want him to go, and you have to pay big. This is a player that Ajax are reasonable about, and that was put out there a month ago by Ajax, so it can be done. Whether United do it or not is another matter. I said it before, Lingard is 30 million for a club like West Ham or Everton. He has commercial value as well, Sebastian Bodri. Lingard is a good-looking sponsor player. I hope he goes to a big city team like LA Galaxy, Rome, PSG, Barcelona, something like Zlatan has done. That's from Andreas Stovik. And hi Mark, can you please shout out my team Boston Celtics FC? We're raising money for blood cancer and would welcome supporters, says Nathan Joseph. Big shout out for Boston Celtics FC. And Varun Paravatakar says, considering that we are average 60 million net every summer, what do you think our budget will be this season? What a good question from Varun. And I think that the transfer budget, you just reminded me, I'm just writing it down actually. The transfer budget, ESPN, and I don't know who it was who said it from ESPN, but they mentioned yesterday a transfer budget of £150 million for Manchester United. Now, it was Mark Ogden from ESPN a year ago who said United had a transfer budget of 100, and I absolutely shot it down and said, what a load of crap. Well, he actually ended up being wrong, but the other way, because it was less than £100 million net. I think United's net spend will be the value of Jadon Sancho. I think that's what they want to spend, and anything else will have to come from sales. So I think there's money to sign Jadon Sancho. I don't think there's money for anything else. However, if you sold Dalot for 20 and Lingard for 20 and Sanchez for 10 and Rojo for 10, you've got 60 million there. Have you seen the reply on Twitter from Fabrizio Romano stating news soon about Sancho, says Luke? I have. United could spend 100 million on Sancho and make £75 off kit sales first week. Branding will be amazing. The kit sales thing's a myth though, isn't it? Because the kit sales go to Adidas. They don't go to Manchester United. So Adidas have already paid Manchester United to sell kits. Can we work a swap deal of Lingard plus £20 million for Grealish, says Mojo. I don't think Lingard would want to go to Aston Villa. Weston McKennie, 25 million to back up Pogba, says Jamie. And hey Mark, looking good today. How likely is the Sanchez-Perisic swap deal, says Jonah. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely, although, thank you again, Gazzetta dello Sport have said that Manchester United have given Inter Milan 10 days to finalise a deal, a transfer deal for Alexis Sanchez. Not a loan deal, a transfer deal. Now, Alexis Sanchez has done very, very well for Inter Milan recently. If we can offload Alexis Sanchez, I'll be over the moon. If we get Perisic as part of that deal, I would do it. I would do it, because I think Perisic at 31 could still offer Manchester United something. And look, Matic is 31. So, you know, it's an experienced player who I think can play in a multitude of positions, who's far cheaper than Sanchez. And you get rid of Sanchez. That's the thing for me. It's getting rid of Sanchez and his wage. I would do a swap deal for Perisic, knowing that Perisic won't be on 400k a week. It'd actually boost the squad and give us some quality on the bench. And we get rid of Alexis Sanchez. So I would do it. I think there's absolutely no chance of it happening, but I would do that deal. There's no embarrassment in swapping Alexis Sanchez with Perisic. There's no embarrassment in swapping Alexis Sanchez with Marcus Albrighton. Like, the whole point of the Sanchez deal is to get rid of his wages. That's what it's all about. It's not about the value. But I would do it. I would do it. Hello from Darren, Adam and Paul, says Dasmania. Hello. And where do you think we'll finish next season, Mark, says Charlie Lomas. I mean, look, so much depends on the transfers that we do. We know Chelsea have strengthened very much so, and if they get Havertz, they're really strengthened with young. I mean, one of the questions I'm going to be asking the lads tonight at 8 o'clock. Don't miss the 8 o'clock show tonight, because I suspect me and Saeed are going to have an argument about Harry Maguire, but and there'll probably be a few about Matic with Ricky as well. But one of the questions I'm going to ask the lads and all of you lot at 8 o'clock tonight is: do you think Lampard's had a better season than Ollie, like Roy Keane had? Says he did. But the thing about Chelsea is they've got a lot of young players and they're going to add some good players in as well. So where United finish next season is totally about what deals we do this summer and the ambition of the club. So we can talk about that at 8 o'clock. Can we work? Yeah, we're done that one. Grealish is Premier League proven. I'm worried about Van der Beek being another Mkhitaryan. I mean, that risk is very true, Dino Devel. A centre midfielder United should consider is Ruben Neves, one of the best centre midfielders in the Premier League, and his playing style just screams goals, especially his wonder goals, says MNMA. Yeah, I would like Ruben Neves, but he just doesn't seem possible to get. He never seems to be rumoured to be leaving Wolverhampton Wanderers, does he? I would subsidise Sancho's wages just to get rid of him from the dressing room, says Sebastian Bodri. Agree. And Jonas Lanza says, do you think that we would be able to afford Ndidi? He bossed the midfield against us. If we get him, and Sancho would be very successful. I would love to get Ndidi at Manchester United. Absolutely love to get him at Manchester United. He was so good for Leicester yesterday, and he's been so good this season. And he's actually a specialist centre defensive midfielder. Like, there will be United fans who say, oh, we should get Thomas Partey. And Thomas Partey would be good, but Thomas Partey doesn't play centre defensive midfield as a specialism. He plays box-to-box more. And Didi, he is what he is. It says CDM on his chest because he's a centre defensive midfielder. It doesn't say that. It probably says whatever their sponsor is. But you know what I mean? He is. But Leicester are not going to let him go. And look, the money they got for bloody Maguire, it would be. This is why United aren't signing Maddison. You know, United did like Maddison. They just can't afford it. It says on Sky, United are looking at 23 million for James Rodriguez. Looks like Grealish is already out the window, says Ben. We won't sign James Rodriguez. I mean, I'm a big fan of James Rodriguez, as people who've been watching this channel for a few years will know. But he's not the right signing, and he's not a signing Manchester United will make. Also, there's talk, Manchester Evening News again, about Jordan Henderson, whatever. Dean Henderson, and what his future at Manchester United is going to be. I mean, that is something I would put to the live comments as well. What would you do with Dean Henderson? I mean, some people would start him, some people would loan him again, some people would have him there to compete with De Gea. For me, I would loan him again, because you cannot have quality goalkeepers like De Gea and Henderson who would get into most Premier League clubs sat competing. It's ridiculous. One of them's going to spend most of the season sat on their arse. That's a ridiculous waste of talent. So I think that Henderson either needs to be number one or he needs to be loaned out. Are you going to loan De Gea out? I mean, one of them's got to go on loan and one of them's got to be the number one. You can't have both. It would be ridiculous to have both. It'd be a waste of time to have both. So I wouldn't keep both. Garner isn't good enough yet. He's only played in the under-18, says Ibrahim. There's a number of players that have got to go on loan. I mean, this will be low. I think at the moment everything's about Sancho, signing players, selling players, retention of players on contracts like Henderson and Pogba, and then right down you've got loanees. But loanees are very important. We didn't do this last year with Gomez and Chong. We've got to do it this year. Garner's got to go out on loan. Chong's got to go out on loan. Levitt's got to go out on loan. I would say even Ethan Laird's got to go out on loan. Maybe Brandon Williams has got to go out on loan. He certainly isn't a left back. He's got to be the backup right back, but maybe that's Fosu Mensah. Brandon Williams is not a left back. I feel sorry for the kid. He's not a left back. His left foot is not as good as a lot of people said it was. He's a right back. Like, let him play at right back. He's right footed. He's not a left back. So, and I also think a loan might do him good. Decore for CDM, says Lyric. I mean, the more you move up the more you move into the midfield of a relegation side, the more I think, why would they be good enough for Man United? You've got a lot of responsibility and you have a lot of games are won and lost in the midfield. Why would you want to get a midfielder of a team that's been relegated? Attacking midfielder maybe, but a CDM or a box-to-box, why has that team been relegated if Decore is so good? So it's a no from me. I'd take Chong at Leeds, says Hyper96. Sal Romero and have Henderson, says Van House. I just think it's a waste to have Henderson or De Gea on the bench. They're too good for that. Who do you think will sign and sell this summer, says Charlie Lomas? Well, I'm going to do a video on that a little bit later in the week. But Sancho, I'm very confident will get. And selling-wise, I think Dalot will definitely go. So they're the definites. I'd have to do a little bit more thinking about it. I think Lingard should go. It's time for him to go. And I think obviously Rojo should go and Sanchez, but we'll just have to see how it develops. I think we should try and get a very good centre-back instead of Sancho or Grealish, says Sam Wheeler. No, not for me. Sancho's the priority. And it's not only that we need a right winger and we need some real star quality. I also think it's symbolic to go and basically do, for Manchester United to do the signing of the summer. And that's what we're talking about here. Jadon Sancho will be the signing of the summer. There'll be no deal bigger than that. And for Manchester United to be back doing signings of the summer is great. Remember when we bought Pogba? We were still in the Europa League that year. We were going to be in the Europa League. It was Mourinho's first season. So we bought Pogba for Europa League football. This would be buying Sancho, the biggest signing of the summer, for Champions League football. The only CDM lower down I would have is Rice, says Dane Grayson. Look, I've come around a lot to Rice. Adam Tan, welcome, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Mark, don't have a go at me. What about Declan Rice? Mojo, I haven't got a problem with Declan Rice. We won't buy him because we won't be able to afford him. I think Paul would be a good backup midfielder. What do you think, says Mason Webb? Can I just say thanks to everybody who's becoming a member of the club. You can do that by clicking the join button. You get access to our emojis, but you also get the little badge next to your name that changes every month that you are a member. We don't do Patreon or anything like that. All our content is free up on YouTube for you. So by supporting the channel and becoming a member, you are helping the channel out. So thank you everybody who does that, especially Adam Tan, who is our latest one. Why doesn't United use a feeder club to use the youth for the loans the way Chelsea do? I mean, I'm sure the likes of Salford would really benefit from it, says Anto Mac. Don't know. Manchester United tend to like to keep things in-house. That's why, probably. Ismail Sarr's a good player. Yes, he is. So if you're joining in a little bit late, there has been a story today. Please smash a like on the video, by the way. There has been a story today that Manchester United have had an opening bid rejected by Borussia Dortmund for £90 million, 98 million euro. Some people think it's 90 million euro, which would be about 83 million pounds. Either way, it's way too high. For an opening bid, United would not offer 83 million or 90 million on day one of the transfer window for Jadon Sancho. They don't do quick deals. Some clubs might. It's the sort of thing a Chelsea would do. But United don't do quick deals. They do foreplay, slow play. They don't do quick deals. So this is not true as far as I'm concerned. But discussions will be underway with Dortmund. Those discussions will be very slow. Now, August the 10th is the next deadline. Sancho himself is on holiday at the moment on a yacht. But United won't have put a bid in on day one. This is going to be a slow process. And as my guy said this morning on the show, as I said on the show, having spoken to my guy, he said, don't be surprised if you haven't bought Sancho before the Europa League final. Which to me seems a little bit late, and I'm sort of leaning towards what Christian Falk said about the 10th of August, but it's a little bit early on that. Philip Richardson says, any news on Director of Football? No, not at the moment, not unless you've just alluded the world to some breaking news that we've just had. Let me just have a quick look. Check my DMs. Welcome to Dan Morton, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And Charlie Barnett says, I work at Dortmund. The bid was not rejected. It was stalled. We've taken it into consideration. What a load of crap, Charlie. Some anonymous person on YouTube who works for Borussia Dortmund saying that it's been anonymous. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Charlie. Don't believe you at all. But nice try. What do you think about Smalling, says Van Helsing. Let him go. Let him build a career elsewhere. Fabrizio did say Sancho news soon, says Mr. Beast. Yes. And David Hunt, welcome, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Won't it be interesting if Fabrizio Romano's next news on Jadon Sancho is talks ongoing, nothing finalised yet? Would that not be basically the same as what I was told this morning? We'll have to wait and see. Mark, would you take Tonali? Of course I would, says Martin the Den. I'd take him at United. I'd take him to the gym. I'd take him to the swimming baths. I'd take him to the pub. Wouldn't take him to bed. That's not the way I go. But I would definitely take him at Manchester United. I really, really would. Unless we were going to go and watch The Sinner or something like that. Or, maybe Last Kingdom or repeats of Only Fools and Horses. Who should Lingard go to, says Bailey Hammond. Look, I don't really care where Lingard goes to because he won't be at United. But I would like to see... Charlie Bennett says, do you want to see my contract? Well, if you do work for Dortmund, Charlie, you're exposing yourself to 16,000 people. If you want to show us your contract, that's fine. I wouldn't say that contract is worth the paper it's written on. If it is written on paper, I think it's probably written in your head. Do you think Twansebi could be the centre-back we need to partner Maguire if he gets and stays fit, says Mason Webb? I really hope so, but let's not forget that Twansebi has been out for a year now. A year. I'm nearly crying. A year now. He's been out for nearly a year. No, he has been out for nearly a year. Lingard should go to Italy. He could go to Inter Milan, AC Milan. Yeah, I think Italy would be good for Lingard. It's a slower league, and Lingard is a quick... The way he moves around, I think Lingard could do well. Look, if Ashley Young can do well in Italy, then Lingard can. Charlie Barnett, you may work for Dortmund in Football Manager, but this is real life, says Mike Goodwin. Oh, and do you think... Yeah, I've done that one. Okay. Will other players go to Manchester United? I think United will sign 2 or 3 players, which is basically what Simon Stone said last week. I'm erring on 2. I don't see... How many players do you think Manchester United are going to sign this summer? I'm asking the question, and I'm going to ask the lads tonight at 8 o'clock as well. I think it will be 2, and the reason I think it's going to be 2 is basically we've only got 2 months to sign players because it closes at the start of October. So we've got 2 months. You'd normally get 3. We've got 2 months to sign players, right? We normally take about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks to sign a player. Therefore, 2 players will be signed. But remember, we're trying to sell players as well. And we're going to be playing games as well. United traditionally don't buy players when on tour, which is when we're playing games. So are we going to be buying players whilst playing Europa League and Premier League football? I don't know. I think United have got the perfect excuse not to do lots of business this summer. I think it will be Sancho and one other. I don't think we'll get 3, but I'd love to see us do that. If I was in charge of United, my attitude would be this. We've just got 3rd place. We're in the Champions League. Let's try and be better next season because it's a quick turnaround. Let's help the manager, but we'll have to see if that happens. Do you think United should consider re-signing Memphis Depay? We have a buyback clause on him. We don't, Marcus Canyon. We don't have a buyback clause. We have a first refusal. A buyback clause means that you spend a certain... So if Memphis Depay had a 30 million buyback clause, we could say to Leon, there's 30 million, you've got no power, and he comes back if he wants to come back. That's what a buyback clause is. We've got a first refusal clause. A first refusal means Leon want to sell him. They get an offer of, say, 40 million from Liverpool. They have to ring us up and say, we've had an offer of 40 million from Liverpool. Do you want to match the offer? In which case we say yes. Leon have got to accept it, but Memphis Depay might not. So that's the difference between a buyback clause. A buyback clause means that you can just buy him back and Leon don't have anything to do with it if he agrees. A first refusal means it's basically what Man City have got with Sancho. If we offer 80 million for Sancho and Dortmund accept it, then they have to tell Man City, and Man City have a first refusal whether to match it. They won't match it, but that's how it works. But I wouldn't take Memphis Depay back, no. I think it will be a Sancho, CD and a centre defensive midfielder, says Samir Saeed. I'll be very happy with that. Brandon Williams played centre-back at youth. Would I be able, can work for United stand? I'm probably failing all. My Jesse UCA is not getting anywhere. My Twitter is Josh83822464. I like the confidence, Josh. Drop me a DM. And if we were unable to sign Sancho, would you consider taking advantage of Zaha? Would his 50% sell-on clause work in that case? Says Mark Goodwin. Well, I was just going to talk about Zaha, actually, Mark Goodwin. The interesting thing about Zaha is that we have a 25%, I don't know what you call this. We get 25% sell-on fee. So if Arsenal pay 60 million for Zaha, we get 15 million. Zaha being sold this summer is quite significant for United because it's money. So if you're talking about getting 20 million quid for Lingard, if Palace sell Zaha for 15 million, that's 12 million for us, isn't it? So we could make 10 million off Wilfried Zaha. We shouldn't buy Zaha, but we could get 10 million towards our budget off Zaha. So that would be good. Do you think the Europa League will help United stay sharp in a decent competition as opposed to other clubs, says Mason Webb? I hope so. I hope we can just enjoy the Europa League now. I'm certainly going to do it. There's no pressure on there. Let's go and win it. Let's go and win it. And let's I think there'll be a lot less pressure on United, so we should perform better. Anyway, look, I'm back at 8 o'clock. I don't want to go on and on. Thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like a video. Subscribe if you're new. We've got Ricky, Saeed, Adam on at 8 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the season. We're going to be talking about next season. We're going to be talking about transfers. We're going to be doing our player of the season. Very interactive. Can't wait. 8 o'clock live on the United Stand. Thanks everyone for watching, and a big few weeks ahead. Lots and lots of news, and we'll try and go live about the big stuff and give it that real fan opinion with hopefully some info behind it as well. Speak to you in a bit. Thanks for watching.